The courtroom buzzed with a tightly coiled electricity. Murmurs filled the air as lawyers rustled papers and Judge Holloway took her seat. In a third row, Leila Chambers, a first-class petty officer in the U.S. Navy, sat motionless, a statue carved from determination. No military uniform, no tactical boots, just a sharp black blazer and a court ID badge clipped to her chest. Her hair was pulled back, her posture ramrod straight, hands resting on her knees, fingers precisely interlaced. She wasn't there to be seen, but to observe. Yet Leila never went unnoticed. A few feet away, her younger brother Jordan, 21, sat at the defendant's table, too thin, with dark circles under his eyes that spoke of sleepless nights. He tried to appear calm, but his eyes darted to Leila every few seconds. Each time, she offered a subtle nod, a silent message. "I'm here. I've got you." Across from them, Officer Darren Colton occupied his space with palpable arrogance. His arms crossed, his chest puffed out against his uniform. A low chuckle rumbled, just loud enough to be noticed. Leila watched him, her eyes barely narrowing, registering every detail of his posture, his attitude. She'd seen men like him before, different uniforms, different countries. The problem wasn't the power, it was the feeling of untouchability. Judge Holloway's gavel struck sharply. Case number 5872B, the State versus Jordan Chambers. Silence fell over the room. Jordan stood, the chains on his wrist clinking like an echo of injustice. The public defender, visibly exhausted, approached the stand. "Your Honor, we call Leila Chambers." To the stand. A ripple of whispers went through the room. Leila rose, moving with the grace of someone who knew every inch of their body. Each step was deliberate, powerful, effortless. The baif, a young woman in her 20s, stepped back as Leila passed as if Leila's presence was a magnetic force. She ascended the stand, raised her right hand, and swore to tell the truth. Her voice was steady, controlled. "Please state your name for the record." "Leila Chambers," she responded, looking the prosecutor directly in the eyes. "First-class Petty Officer, United States Navy SEAL Team 4. The air in the room seemed to hold its breath, a collective silence, as if everyone had stopped breathing at once. The public defender didn't miss a beat. "Miss Chambers, why are you here today?" "To testify on behalf of my brother." Her voice didn't waver. Her hand remained still in her lap. "Was Jordan involved in the alleged robbery on March 11th? "No, he was not." "How do you know?" "Because he was. With me in my apartment. He was on leave. Do you have proof?" "Yes. Flight records, building security footage, and a neighbor who saw us at 10 p.m. when he brought me a welcome casserole." Someone in the gallery let out a soft chuckle. The judge raised an eyebrow. Colton shifted in his seat, uncomfortable. The prosecutor stood, adjusting his tie with an air of defiance. "Ms. Chambers, you were trained in hand-to-hand combat, firearms, tactical evasion." "Correct. Yes. Part of SEAL training." "Would you lie under oath to protect your family?" The room held its breath. Leila tilted her head slightly, her eyes fixed on him. "No, and I haven't lied." The prosecutor smiled, but it was a strange smile. "How do we know your brother didn't slip out that—" "Night," Leila responded without flinching. "You don't, but the burden of proof rests with you, not with me." Colton let out a scoff. Leila turned her head just enough to glance at him. Her disdain was clear. "Nothing further," the frustrated prosecutor said. The judge nodded. "Miss Chambers, you may step down." Leila descended the 2 steps from the stand, her heels softly clicking on the polished floor. That's when it happened. Colton stood up and took a step towards her. His elbow shot out. A quick, deliberate jab to her side. It wasn't an accident. The room gasped. The bailiff yelled, "Hey!" Leila didn't stumble. She didn't recoil, not an inch. Colton's face twisted into a smirk of satisfaction. The judge's gavel slammed down. "Order." Order in this court. Leila slowly turned to Colton. Her expression hadn't changed. No anger, no fear. Just a laser-sharp gaze. "What did you just do?" the judge demanded. "I accidentally bumped into her," Colton said with ash rug. "She was right in front of you," the Bayo retorted. Leila looked at the judge. "Permission to speak freely." The judge nodded. Leila took a step towards Colton. "I've jumped out of planes over war zones. I've been 20 feet from explosions. I've buried friends, but never, not once, have I been assaulted inside a courthouse." The silence was Sothic. It felt solid. "Your Honor, I request that Officer Colton be removed from this courtroom until my testimony is complete." The judge nodded. "Balifas Court, the officer, out." Colton protested, but the bailiff ushered him towards the exit. As he passed Leila, he leaned in and whispered, "This isn't over." She didn't move. She just whispered back, "Neither is the war." The room then knew she was no ordinary witness, and this was no ordinary trial. Outside the courthouse, Leila stood still as the crowd's murmurs faded. Jordan, sitting on a bench, still carried the weight of invisible chains of fear. "Are you okay, Leila?" he asked, not looking at her. She exhaled slowly, as if surfacing from a deep dive. "You're not going back in there today." Jordan looked up, exhausted. "They want me to take a deal for years and a felony record to make it all go away." "Did you do it?" He looked offended. "Of course not." "Then don't ever say you wanted to go away. Not when you didn't do anything." Her words were firm, but her tone was soft, like a sister who had always been the anchor. Suddenly, a man in a grey suit approached. "Agent Riffs," he said, offering a curt nod. "Noah," Leila responded with a hint of familiarity. "I heard what happened in there. You kicked a hornet's nest. Colleton's already filed a complaint saying you threatened an officer." Leila let out a dry laugh. "He hit me. I saw it," Noah said. "But the recordings are being scrubbed as we speak." Leila clenched her jaw. "That's obstruction." "That's Tuesday around here," Noah muttered. Noah explained that Colton wasn't an isolated case. 6 successive forced complaints, all dismissed. Victims who disappeared orchanged their stories. "We need irrefutable proof," she said. Leila scribbled a name in a notebook. Xavier Bell, a friend of Jordan's, arrested by Colton. "Find him," she told Noah. "And what will you do?" "Get his attention," she replied, her voice cold as steel. That night, Leila accessed restricted servers from an old laptop using her still-active military clearance. She found what she was looking for: manipulated body cam logs, falsified reports, and the courthouse video hidden in a poorly secured directory. There was Colton's elbow, his smirk, Leila's calm. She saved everything to a hard drive. Jordan, watching her, whispered, "They'll come for you." She didn't blink. Let them. The next day, she met with Leia Banks, a journalist known for exposing uncomfortable truths. In a makeshift office, Leia's team reviewed the evidence. "This is solid," Leia said. "You want to stream it live?" Leila nodded. "I want them to feel the walls closing in." At 7:03 a.m., the video went public. Within minutes, it went viral. By noon, it had reached Capitol Hill. But that night, 3 unidentified men broke into Leila's apartment. She met them without hesitation, disarming the first, bringing down the second, and snapping the third's wrist. "Tell your bosses, I've survived worse," she said as they filed. That on the day of the new trial, the courtroom was packed. The prosecutor, a different man, announced that all charges against Jordan were being dropped. The gavel fell. Jordan exhaled, finally free. Leila placed a hand on his shoulder, a subtle smile gracing her lips. Outside, she faced reporters. "You saw the truth. Now, it's time for accountability." News of Colton's arrest and a broader investigation into the precinct spread rapidly. That night, in her apartment, A quiet calm settled for the first time in weeks. Jordan ate heartily while Leila, on the balcony, held a warm mug. The city lights twinkled beneath the moon. And though the fight wasn't over, something had shifted. She thought of those who didn't have camera-sore lawyers or SEAL sisters. This victory was for them too. What are your thoughts on this story? What would you do if you were in Ilha's shoes?